Hello, I'm just going to today show you how easy it is to make some wine. I've never done this one before. This is berry fruit wine, refreshing. It's basically based on a tea wine recipe. Seems to me it's going to be a perfect ingredient as it contains dried hibiscus fruit, rose hips, dried apple, dried elderberry pieces, raspberry pieces and strawberry. These are all good winemaking ingredients. Now, the day I heard they were going to make a minimum charge on alcohol in Scotland of 50p, and I think the English government are set to follow, I started making wine in these. I bought these little caps off of eBay, Max homebrew caps, making wines out of fruit juices, sticking them in the airing cupboard, and it worked, and it was interesting enough, but never had any really impressive results. The apple wine was quite good, but I soon got myself this little book, First Steps in Winemaking. Not an expensive book, £5.95, and it contains loads of recipes, tells you how to do it all, and it really is very easy. So after summertime of gathering fruits, various things, oak leaves and fruit and vegetables, so I was getting peaches, nectarines, I've had leaves off the grapevine, apples, all sorts of things, elderberries, blackberries. Winter now, January. You'll probably see all the snow outside, so there's not a lot growing on the trees, so we'll just give this a go. It's an inexpensive thing. You don't have to go out and buy all the kit, you know, loads of stuff. You don't need many things. Some of it's available on the internet, but I found I've got a wonderful shop nearby in Witney in Oxfordshire called Hops and Vines in Corn Street in Witney, and you get anything you need from there cheaper than you'll get it on eBay. And you get the knowledge with it and the enthusiasm. It's really a fun thing to do, and I'm going to be making wine today, gallon of wine for about £2 basically. So I'll start off, kilo of sugar. I'm following the recipe for tea wine on page 151 of the First Steps in Winemaking book. And it's need 8 pints of boiling water. I've already boiled this one out of the kettle on the Raven. They're all getting steamed up, look. This is going to be part one of the video because it does take time. You need to be organised, you need everything sterilised beforehand, be organised, and need a bit of patience. What I've started doing, so I started with those horrendous wines, and then I buy from Hops and Vines wine kits where I can make 30 bottles of wine for about £30. And they say they're a 1 week kit, but they're not. It takes about 10 days, maybe 2 weeks, then you can be drinking it. So I now drink cheap Merlot for £1 a bottle basically, and I've just got to the stage after I think about 8 or 10 months of winemaking where I started drinking some of my homemade stuff with good results. The nectarine wine in particular was good. What did I just drink? I just finished my oak leaf, that was a favourite. So it's coming out well, but some of it's not cleared, it's all in stages, but as I'm getting, I'll show you probably in part 2 of the video, or when I put this in Demijohn later on tonight, I'm getting to the stage where a lot of my wines are ready to drink, and I'm drinking sort of 3 bottles out of the Demijohn and bottling the other 3, so I'm soon going to have a nice rotation. So look, what I've done here, quite simply, in a sterilised bucket, I've just dissolved 1 kilo of sugar, which is not quite enough sugar at the moment. I'll come to that later. And I've bought these tea bags, so I'm just going to chuck 40 bags in. The recipe tells me to put them in a muslin bag. Actually, I tell a lie, say it's my first time of making this. I've got a gallon on the go. And it just smells so delicious that I'm going to make some more. Well, this cost me 99p for 40 bags, and at Aldi. Watch the colours coming out of it now. I should use 4 tablespoons according to the recipe on page 151 of First Steps in Winemaking. Well, I think I've gone over the top here, but that's fine. It's got a beautiful wine colour coming out. I can smell sort of raspberry, strawberry flavour. Now I could just, what I'm going to do, this is all going to dissolve and it's got to cool down before I add yeast or anything else to it. Just for the sake of it, to make sure it really infuses. This I've just boiled up kettle. I know there's about 7 pints now in total. I can top the rest up with cold water later. But basically that's stage 1. I've dissolved the sugar and the tea bags Now I didn't bring one down because not all my videos run smoothly. Might be a good enough winemaker, not the best film cameraman. That's basically it now. I've made a giant cup of tea, herbal tea or berry fruit tea. I will later, now that needs to cool down enough so that when I put the yeast in it, the yeast doesn't die basically, so it wants to be room temperature, probably about 21 to 28 degrees, quite a warm room temperature. But what I'm going to do, for reasons you'll know, you don't have to, but if you get a book like this you'll find out it's things you learn as you go along and kit you can buy as you go along. But I will put a spoonful of yeast in that cup, probably a spoonful of sugar, half fill it of warm water, cover it with cling film, then it's going to be placed on here. Actually I've got the yeast there, Young's, I can do it now. Just a Young, that's a yeast and nutrient combined. That's about £2 for a little jar of that. Sterilised spoons again, all been sterilised. This yeast will start to multiply in a cup, and it's just rather than chucking that straight in the mix later, it's going to give, actually I'll put a little bit of sugar in with that as well, something for the yeast to eat. It just means that when that yeast goes into the, use another different spoon, when the yeast goes into the wine later, oh, it's not wine, it's juice at the minute, and must. When it goes in later, it's going to have just had the opportunity to expand a little bit. It won't get overwhelmed. It won't get overwhelmed by the the sudden shock of going into a different temperature. That will grow, we'll see it nice and frothy later. So that's all I can do at this stage now until that's cooled down. And all I've got to do basically then is take the tea bags out, strain them into a demijohn. A few things to note about that, but I'll show you later. But it's already promising because it smells nice and it's so easy. So this is part one. I'll see you later for part two.